Frustrated by an industry that
life. On the fire lines in the west, a small break for exhausted firefighters as the wind lets up. But the battle is not over. Tiny but potentially deadly. The mosquito-borne virus spreading faster and farther than expected. And in Paris, the amazing Lance Armstrong wins his third straight victory at the Tour de France.
From ABC News World Headquarters in New York, this is World News Tonight, Sunday.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Carol Simpson. Dozens were injured today at Jerusalem outside the religious site that in many ways is at the center of the Mideast conflict. It is holy ground to both Jews and Muslims. And today, an ultra-nationalist Jewish group planned a controversial march there. Israeli police were on heightened alert and clashed with Palestinians in some of the worst violence since this intifada began 10 months ago. Tonight, ABC's Josh Gerstein reports from Jerusalem.
Hundreds of Israeli police were out in force today, and after Palestinians showered rocks on Jews praying at the Western Wall, 400 police officers stormed the adjoining plaza. Palestinians threw stones and even their shoes at police, who responded with tear gas and rubber bullets. Terrified Jewish worshippers fled the scene. During a tense 2-hour standoff, Muslim clerics and medical teams tried to separate the angry crowd from the police. 36 Palestinians were hurt, at least 22 more were arrested. About 15 police officers were also injured. The Mufti of the Al-Aqsa Mosque said the clashes showed that Israel wants to control Muslim holy sites. Tonight, Israel blamed Arab leaders for the trouble.
But once they got all those youngsters up there fully incited, they could not control them.
The group of 20 Jewish militants called the Temple Mount Faithful wanted to lay a cornerstone for a new Jewish temple at the site. The dispute over the area where Jewish temples once stood and where Muslims believe Muhammad ascended to heaven dates back thousands of years. The Jews call it Temple Mount, the Muslims call it Haram al-Sharif. Both Israelis and Palestinians claim sovereignty over it, though Palestinians now have day-to-day control. The disagreement was a major cause of the collapse of Israeli-Palestinian peace talks last year. Today, there were demonstrations across the West Bank. In Nablus, a crowd burned a replica of the ancient Jewish temple and an effigy of Israeli Prime Minister Ariel Sharon. But the Temple Mount Faithful never came close to planting their cornerstone. Because of all the emotions that surround the mosque compound, Israeli police have stayed away from it for months. It's a measure of the restraint exercised by both sides that despite the violence and injuries here today, no lives were lost. Josh Gerstein, ABC News, Jerusalem.
Turning now to news at home, the massive wildfire in western Wyoming has now been burning for a week. Tonight, officials say it is more than 60% contained, but it still remains a threat. ABC's Judy Muller is outside of Jackson.
To almost everyone's amazement, the day dawned with no homes lost, despite yesterday's hot temperatures and high winds. But it has been very, very close. The fire continues to hopscotch through these subdivisions.
We got crews in that area.
As ground crews and airplanes race to meet it.
We are getting more confident, but we don't want to get overconfident.
Today's forecast calls for slightly cooler temperatures and lower winds, a welcome respite for homeowners in a state of almost constant anxiety.
Watching it was like watching a freight train come slowly down on 20 years of your life.
That train was slowed with the help of a new group of firefighters called the Urban Interface Unit. These 35 men and women use the latest technology, such as compressed foam and high-pressure water cannons. They are specially trained to save homes built in areas where urban sprawl meets wilderness, a growing trend in the West.
This is private land, and it's right up next to the National Forest, and it's pretty hard for us in America to say that we can't live out here. We just got to do it better.
Better means clearing brush and deadwood from around these homes. But environmentalists argue that the undergrowth is vital wildlife habitat. That conflict between man and nature is likely to mean more expensive fires in the future. This one has already cost $6 million.
As far as how much it cost, you know, selfishly, I was wondering what I got for my tax money. And I feel like I got a good deal this week.
Residents may have some good news tomorrow. Fire officials say they may be allowed to return to their homes if conditions permit.
but they caution that those conditions could change at any time. Carol?
Trudy, thank you. ABC's Judy Muller outside Jackson, Wyoming. Later in the broadcast, we'll have more on wildfires and how computers could soon play a major role in fighting them. An Amtrak train going from Chicago to San Antonio derailed in southeastern Missouri today, slightly injuring 10 people. A spokesman says heavy rains in the area had washed away the ground under a 50-foot section of track, leaving it suspended in the air. The crew saw the problem but couldn't stop the train. In Washington, the chief of police said today the official search for missing intern Chandra Levy will soon be scaled back. ABC's Jackie Judd is in Washington with the latest on the story. Jackie?
Carol, Washington, D.C. Police Chief Charles Ramsey did have a pessimistic assessment today about the search for Chandra Levy. He said police are no closer now than they were 3 months ago to finding out what happened to the young woman.
Police have now searched hundreds of acres of Rock Creek Park and other wooded areas of the city, but still no sign of Levy. Ramsey said today they are running out of places to search and it will soon end.
We have about 50 of our police recruits that are out there combing Rock Creek Park. They'll finish by the end of this week and they have to get back in class. We need them on the street.
The news came as another disappointment to Levy's father.
We're always going to be thinking and looking, and hopefully they're going to keep up with it too.
Chief Ramsey suggested that there is less than a 50-50 chance that Levy will ever be found.
It's been 90 days or so now, and the longer it goes, especially without any information to take you down any particular path, there are people throughout the country that are missing and have been missing for years.
As for Congressman Gary Condit, Ramsey said police still do not have a complete timeline of his activities around the time Levy disappeared. Ramsey did not rule out the possibility that Condit would be questioned again, but no such session is now planned. Carol?
Thank you very much. ABC's Jackie Judd reporting from Washington. Still ahead on World News Tonight this Sunday, the people who live near Mount Etna hoping for a miracle to stop the lava. One of summer's most dreaded pests and why these people are hoping to attract them. And Lance Armstrong on top of the tour for a third straight year.
This is World News Tonight, Sunday. Brought to you by Cheerios.
Daddy?
Hey!
Why are you eating my Cheerios?
They help lower Daddy's cholesterol. Yeah, they're good for Daddy's heart.
Ah.
Whole grain oat Cheerios is the only leading cold cereal clinically proven to help lower cholesterol in a low-fat diet.
Cholesterol thing.
It's LensCrafters' best $99 offer ever. Right now, get a complete pair of glasses with DuraLens, our most scratch-resistant plastic lens for only $99. The $99 DuraLens event. This one you don't want to miss.
The long jump. The dash. Life is like a sport, and your feet take the impact hard. But new Stride Guard insoles absorb 50% more heel impact than these Dr. Scholl's. Take more impact in stride. New Stride Guard insoles.
From the moment we met, I knew there was something I had to know. Wow! Why couldn't we get along? What seemed to go wrong? Let's give it a second chance.
Somebody had their Minute Maid this morning. It only takes a minute, but the feeling lasts all day.
I wish we could come through.
In our overseas briefing, Secretary of State Powell arrived in Australia today after his first visit to China. Powell said today leaders in Beijing are trying to avoid another spy plane incident. He said the Chinese would cut back on aggressive pursuit tactics. In Poland, 2 weeks of heavy rains have caused flooding along the Vistula River. About 1,800 people were evacuated when a dike broke in southern Poland. At least 25 people have been killed. In the ancient Incan citadel of Machu Picchu today, Peru's new president paid homage to his Indian heritage. Alejandro Toledo, a former shoeshine boy, was officially inaugurated yesterday, but today he was given a golden scepter, a symbol of supreme power. Toledo is the first person of Indian heritage to be elevated to Peru's highest office. Musicians serenaded him and priests prayed for his success. Mount Etna continued to rumble and spew lava today, providing a spectacular show. Bulldozers are working around the clock to divert lava from towns below the volcano on Sicily. But ABC's Bob Woodruff reports residents are turning to a higher power.
On the southern slope of Mount Etna, hundreds of people came to worship today. In the shadow of the volcano, they asked for divine intervention, for God to stop the lava before it buries their towns. The stronger and hotter we pray, the Archbishop said, the colder the lava will become. The lava is now erupting from 5 different vents, and slowly, sometimes almost indetectably, it's moving down the hill. Although it is still miles away from the nearest town of Nicolosi, people today were praying for another miracle, like the one in 1886 when the local archbishop is said to have stopped the lava on this very spot by holding out a statue of St. Anthony. If the ways of man cannot stop the lava, this teacher said, our only salvation is God. For some people, this eruption is not much more than an inconvenience. Ash covers the streets, and yesterday it even closed the airport.
Despite the dangers of this volcano, the people just can't seem to stay away. Every evening, hundreds of them trek for miles up the road just to get a glimpse.
I think it's beautiful and horrific. It's breathtaking.
Up here, they wait long into the night when Mount Etna reveals its most stunning colors. Bob Woodruff, ABC News, Mount Etna.
When we return, searching for mosquitoes to see how far a sometimes fatal virus has spread.
I've always been a fighter, and I don't like to lose. So when I found out I could lose up to 25% of my bone due to menopause, you bet I was going to fight back. I had a strong ally who prescribed Actonel, our weapon. Actonel can reverse bone loss and helps your bones become more fracture resistant. Only Actonel is proven to reduce spinal fractures in the very first year.
Actonel is a non-hormonal prescription medicine for postmenopausal women at risk for osteoporosis. You should not take Actonel if you have low blood calcium, severe kidney disease, or cannot sit or stand for 30 minutes. Follow dosing instructions carefully. Stop taking Actonel and tell your doctor if you experience difficult or painful swallowing, chest pain, or severe continuing heartburn, as these may be signs of serious upper digestive problems. Find out if you're at risk for osteoporosis. Then ask your doctor if Actonel is right for you.
By this time next year, you can have more fracture-resistant bones. Act now with Actonel.
Hello, Mrs. Lindsay. William?
Hello, Stephen.
You're not by any chance computer shopping, are you?
Mm-hmm. If I can get some help.
Well, right now, you can get a complete Dell system with an Intel Pentium 3 processor, plus all of this for just $7.99.
Really?
She's intrigued. Excellent. Because right now, you can get free shipping. Unbelievable. And as far as service and support, Dell's won more awards than any other PC company in the last 5 years. It's real easy. Just call or go online. Tell them what you want, and right to your front door comes America's favorite PC.
Thanks, Stephen.
Now you can get a Dell desktop with an Intel Pentium 3 processor and 6 months of America Online Internet service for just $7.99. Call or go online today, and shipping is free. There's great deals on notebooks, too.
Dude, you're getting a Dell.
Easy to buy, easy to own, easy as Dell.
Voters on the Puerto Rican island of Vieques went to the polls today and voted overwhelmingly for an immediate end to U.S. Navy practice bombing on their island. The non-binding referendum was called in hopes of speeding the Navy's withdrawal before the year 2003, as proposed by President Bush. An unprecedented news conference tomorrow to warn against a new virulent attack on the internet. Officials from the White House, the FBI, Microsoft, and other firms will ask organizations to protect themselves from the code Red Worm. The worm, which first surfaced on July 19th, defaces websites. Microsoft has developed a patch to protect computers, but says few people have downloaded it. Summertime is mosquito time, and this summer, health officials are worried about a disease caused by the pests. ABC's Jim Sciutto reports that since the West Nile virus appeared in the U.S., it has spread faster and farther than anyone expected.
Bill Clay and his team are on an unusual hunting expedition, and they're the bait.
What we're doing is we're using our body as an attractant to attract the adult mosquito and trying to catch them as they come in and land.
It's a search repeated up and down the East Coast as health officials track the movement of mosquitoes carrying the West Nile virus. This past week, the Centers for Disease Control warned the virus has spread farther and faster this year than ever, reaching 9 states from Massachusetts to Florida. It's also infected more than 150 birds and its first human victim this year, an elderly Florida man now in serious condition.
This virus can behave like a wildfire. It'll burn through your area and then jump to another where it can find fresh fuel.
West Nile virus first appeared in New York City in 1999. Since then, there have been 78 confirmed cases in humans and 9 deaths, all in New York and New Jersey. But this week, researchers released a study showing the 1999 outbreak was actually much more extensive than originally thought.
In New York City as a whole, in the outbreak in 1999, there were 8,200 total infections.
Only 1% of people who are infected develop any symptoms. But scientists are concerned the infection rate may rise because they've found the virus in so many birds and other animals that help spread the disease. The virus has spread to Florida is particularly worrisome because the state's warm weather and year-round population of mosquitoes make transmission to humans easier. The CDC is urging states to take broad action to fight the virus.
We can protect ourselves with DEET sprays and by staying inside in the evenings and in the early morning hours when mosquitoes feed. But from a public health point of view, really spraying is our most effective weapon.
Still, federal health officials expect the virus to spread across the country within 3 years. Jim Sciutto, ABC News, Washington.
After 26 years of giving America's youngest journalists a head start in their careers, the Children's Express News Service is shutting down. The problem? A debt of $2.4 million.
The Texas State Representatives are at 12 o'clock.
They were kids, but their questions demanded to be taken seriously.
Are you for abortion?
No, I'm opposed to abortion.
When do you think the Russians will pull out of Afghanistan?
Children's Express made its name in its first year. At the 1976 Democratic Convention, it scooped the world with the news that Jimmy Carter would pick Walter Mondale as his running mate. Children's Express went on to win an Emmy and a Peabody and was nominated for a Pulitzer Prize. It had bureaus in London and Tokyo. 14-year-old Raquel Bubar covered George W. Bush's inauguration this year. She's sorry to see the end of Children's Express.
Well, it's upsetting because I had great experiences and I was hoping to travel more and it was going to be really exciting.
A former staffer says it was the adults in charge who let the kids down.
There was just too much focus on the top layers of administration, the adults, and their needs, and not enough was focused on what the kids really wanted to have happen, which is ironic because our whole mission is to give children a voice.
Some former staffers are trying to keep the group alive through local affiliations. Still ahead, fighting fire with computers.
When I got my cholesterol checked, it was high, too high. So Liz and I got very careful about what we were eating. We even joined a gym. But my doctor found my cholesterol was still too high.
He's doing everything you asked. Now what?
That's when my doctor added Lipitor.
Lipitor is the #1 prescribed medication for lowering cholesterol. In clinical studies, Lipitor with diet lowered bad cholesterol 39 to 60%, total cholesterol 29 to 45%. Try 19 to 37%. Once-a-day Lipitor is not for everyone, including people with liver disease or possible liver problems, women who are nursing, pregnant, or may become pregnant. Blood tests are needed to check for liver problems. Tell your doctor about muscle pain or weakness, as they may be signs of serious side effects. Call 1-888-LIPITOR.
Look at those numbers. They're way down.
Lipitor did it. Ask your doctor what Lipitor can do for you. Lipitor, the lower numbers you're looking for.
Grab it. Pledge Grab It Mix.
You can hold on and grab things.
It's actually grabbing the dust particles. You can do the knickknacks, you can do the tables.
Grab It Mix. Go right into these crevices, because it's your hand.
Slide and dust.
It grabbed it. Grab it.
It does. It grabs it. It doesn't come off my hand, and it doesn't come off the mitt. You can slide and go.
Wipe and throw. That's how you grab your dirt.
Goodbye to the rags. Pledge Grab It Mix.
S.C. Johnson, a family company.
I'm in heaven.
Thursday nights are chilly nights at Ladder Company 55. And when it's Wachowski's turn, it's a 5-alarmer. That means heartburn and gas. These don't have the medicine to relieve both, but now there's new Gas X with Maalox, combining the proven heartburn relief of Maalox with the most powerful gas-fighting medicine around to relieve heartburn and gas fast. New Gas X with Maalox beats the burn and the bloat fast.
The blazes raging in the West this weekend are a familiar threat to many who live there. Every fire season, homeowners in fire-prone states brace for the worst. Help may be on the way from computers, as ABC's Bill Redeker reports.
Wildfires. They are unpredictable and immensely destructive. Last summer, they burned nearly 7 million acres. Now, scientists are trying to change that. Here at Los Alamos National Laboratory, scientists are using supercomputers to learn more about wildfires. And they are confident that they will soon be able to predict the path of a fire hours, even days before it spreads.
The wind is coming in from sort of the bottom of the screen this direction.
Scientist Rod Lynn studies three-dimensional models of the fires on his laptop computer.
We can look at when does a fire crown move up into the crown of the vegetation like it did right there, and when does it not?
To make sure their predictions are accurate, they collect a wide variety of data. At this controlled burn, Lynn measures wind speed and studies the whirling motion of hot gases and soot. To understand how quickly wildfires burn, researchers measure the distance between trees,
9.2,
their circumference, and height. They analyze soil and ground cover.
It is very exciting.
Frank Harlow, a theoretical physicist who developed some of the earliest computers in the 1950s, now applies his expertise to wildfires.
I have no doubt whatsoever that we will get, in fact, a major kind of wildfire predictive process going within a few years.
They are already using the data from previous fires in the hope of saving lives. In 1996, authorities incorrectly forecast the speed and direction of a wildfire in Calabasas, California. A half-dozen firefighters were injured. This computerized model would have accurately predicted the fire's path. The scientists here understand the urgency of their work only too well. Last summer, the worst wildfire in 60 years roared through Los Alamos, threatening their laboratory. Bill Redeker, ABC News, Los Alamos, New Mexico.
When we come back, Lance Armstrong's thrilling three-peat in the Tour de France.
It's LensCrafters' best $99 offer ever. Right now, get a complete pair of glasses with DuraLens, our most scratch-resistant plastic lens, for only $99. The $99 DuraLens event. This one you don't want to miss.
Our vision of the future? To see more family and friends.
Because health concerns change after 50, Centrum Silver added lutein. Emerging science suggests that lutein and other nutrients may help reduce the risk of cataracts. Give your life a silver lining with Centrum Silver.
What if you could return your dog back to a healthy weight? Feed her Imes in the blue bag. It allows her to gradually reduce weight by helping turn fat into energy. which could add years of splendid health to her life. Iams, good for today, good for tomorrow, good for life.
Maalox Quick Dissolve challenges Pepsid Complete. Who neutralizes more acid? Maalox dissolves quicker. Maalox has more mouth-watering flavors. Maalox, 3 ways the right choice is Maalox Quick Dissolve. Agree or it's free.
Looking for a quiet moment? Get a quieter cookie. Soft, fruit, chewy Fig Newtons. Time out from the everyday crunch.
Tiger Woods and Annika Sorenstam.
2 dream teams.
David Duval and Kari Webb.
1 dream match. Lincoln Financial Group battle at Bighorn. Live Monday night at 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific. Only on ABC.
Finally tonight, Le Grand Triomphe. Lance Armstrong today became the first American to win the Tour de France 3 times in a row. As ABC's Mike Lee reports, his victory was not a surprise, but remarkable nonetheless.
Heading toward the finish line on the Champs-Élysées with tens of thousands of fans cheering him on, Lance Armstrong had such a huge lead in the race, which is run in stages, it didn't matter that others beat him to the finish line today. What counted was that he was nearly 7 minutes ahead of his nearest rival in total times over 3 weeks.
Go Lance! Vive la Lance!
Armstrong has not only proven once again that he's the best cyclist in the world, he also joined a rare club today. Only 4 other competitors have ever won the century-old Tour de France 3 years in a row.
I can't put myself in that category of a historically great champion or a famous champion or a legendary champion, but time will tell.
And even more remarkably, only a few years ago, Armstrong seemed almost certain to die from the testicular cancer that had spread to his lungs and his brain. After radical surgery to remove the tumors, Lance Armstrong underwent massive chemotherapy, then trained long and hard to rebuild himself into a world-class racer. At one point during this year's Tour de France, Armstrong used psychological warfare. He pretended, he says, to be too tired to win an important mountain climb, lulling his competitors into relaxing just a bit. Then he tore up the mountain and passed some very startled riders, giving them a long stare before breaking away from the pack. Yet, with all of his success has come a persistent question from cynics. How does he do it? How can he be so much better than all the others, especially in a sport notorious for the illegal use of performance-enhancing drugs? Armstrong answers by saying he has never used drugs. In fact, he has never failed a drugs test.
I think we could maybe even see another level of Lance. I think there might be a little bit more in there.
Already one of the great comeback stories in sports history, Lance Armstrong has been determined enough to win again and again. Mike Lee, ABC News, London.
Amazing. That's our report. Don't forget Good Morning America tomorrow. I'm Carol Simpson. For all of us here at ABC News, have a good week and good night.
This week, controversial medical research that could offer hope to this paralyzed teenager. A town debates. Plus, airlines lose millions, flyers get bargains. On World News Tonight.
Tonight, Christina Ricci, Bill Pullman.
I saw a ghost.
Casper, ABC Tonight, 7, 6 Central. Connecting you to your world. This is K2 News.
A wildfire continues to burn in eastern Oregon tonight, but firefighters are getting help from Mother Nature. Good evening, I'm Amy Morrow. Deanna is off tonight. A costly blaze that threatened homes and businesses in Umatilla is under control tonight. The fire has burned 6,000 acres. K2's Dan Christopher spent the day on the fire lines where flames got so hot they turned sand into glass.
The cost of extinguishing this fire that could be seen for at least 40 miles will run into 6 figures. Property damage possibly into 7 figures, making it the worst and most expensive fire in Umatilla Fire District history.
It was, without a doubt, the most spectacular sight I've ever seen.
Fire Chief Mike Roxbury was among the first to see it all begin. in a pile of wood chips at a Boise Cascade mill, suddenly spread by high winds. When you have airborne embers racing with the wind across dry landscape like this, including a lot of sagebrush, there's not much that you can do to stop a runaway fire. The best you can hope for is to contain it. At its peak Saturday, flames shot 200...
Demetria.